The story of the prophet Hosea is found in the Old Testament, primarily in the book that bears his name. Hosea was a prophet during the 8th century B.C., living in the northern kingdom of Israel during a time of great moral and spiritual decline. Israel had abandoned their covenant with God, turning to the worship of Baal and other pagan gods. Hosea's life was used by God as a symbolic message to the people of Israel, highlighting their unfaithfulness and God's enduring love. God gave Hosea an unusual and painful command. He instructed him to marry a woman named Gomer, who was described as promiscuous. This meant that she was involved in adulterous relationships and perhaps even prostitution. Despite her unfaithful nature, God wanted Hosea to love her and remain committed to her, just as God remained committed to his covenant people, Israel, despite their spiritual adultery in worshiping false gods. Hosea obeyed God and married Gomer. The marriage quickly became a picture of Israel's broken relationship with God. Gomer bore several children, and each one was given a name by God that carried a prophetic meaning. The first child was a son named Jezreel, a reference to the valley where great bloodshed had occurred, signaling that God would bring judgment on the house of Jehu for past violence. Their second child, a daughter, was named Lo-ruhamah, which means not loved or no mercy, symbolizing that God would no longer show compassion on Israel unless they repented. The third child, a son named Lo-ammi, meaning not my people, signified that Israel's actions had broken the relationship with God, and they were no longer considered his people. Over time, Gomer's unfaithfulness became more evident. She left Hosea and returned to a life of adultery, seeking out other lovers. This betrayal paralleled Israel's unfaithfulness to God as they pursued other deities and rejected the one true God who had cared for them. Gomer's actions led her into a life of misery, eventually resulting in her enslavement, likely as a consequence of her lifestyle. Despite her betrayal, God instructed Hosea to go after Gomer, to find her, and to bring her back. Hosea obeyed once again, and in an act of deep love and redemption, he sought out Gomer and paid a price to buy her back from slavery. This act of redeeming her symbolized God's relentless love for Israel. Just as Hosea redeemed Gomer despite her unfaithfulness, God was willing to redeem his people if they would return to him, no matter how far they had fallen. Hosea's life became a living message to the people of Israel, illustrating both the pain of betrayal and the boundless nature of God's love and forgiveness. The message he preached was one of both warning and hope. He warned Israel that their continued idolatry and injustice would lead to destruction and exile, but he also offered hope, saying that if they repented and returned to God, he would heal them and restore the relationship. Hosea's prophecy eventually came true. The northern kingdom of Israel was destroyed by the Assyrian Empire around 722 B.C., and many of the Israelites were taken into exile. Yet Hosea's story also pointed to a future restoration, as God would later call his people back to himself, offering them a new beginning. The story of Hosea and Gomer is a powerful example of God's unwavering love and commitment to his people, even when they are unfaithful. It reveals that God's mercy is always available, and his desire for reconciliation remains strong, even in the face of betrayal. Hosea's marriage to Gomer was not just a personal tragedy, but a profound reflection of the spiritual state of Israel and the lengths to which God would go to bring his people back into his arms. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe to watch more of this Bible stories.